Hey, this is Terrence Lachey, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to this podcast, The Growth Exchange. This podcast was designed to curate conversation, dialogue, and monologue around all things growth. I believe that everything living has the potential to grow into its fullest and most maximal potential. So let's grow. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm Dr. Terrence Lachey, and you are watching or listening to another episode of The Growth Exchange. Now, what makes this one special is the guest, of course. We've talked about all things growth up to this point, but we're going to take it to a whole nother level. We're going to talk about growth, talk about change. You see how I did that? I put in growth and change. I have here sitting next to me none other than Mrs. D'Andrea Bolden. Thank you so much for being here, Dee.
Thank you for allowing me to be your guest today.
Yeah, you're not my guest. You know, it's like extended family.
Okay.
And we're going to continue that conversation that you, me, and John would be having, me, you, John, and Eva, or even your parents, or, just some basic conversation. But what I like to do is try to put some parameters around our conversation and just say all things growth.
Okay.
You've grown. I watched you literally grow over the years, and you've accomplished quite a lot. Author, conference host, entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, not just an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. And I'm not talking about cornflakes. I'm talking multiple businesses. Wife, mom, minister, just being used by God in so many different ways. And so marketplace meets ministry. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your conference, and we'll talk about that. What inspires you to grow? Let's just kick the conversation off. What inspires you to grow?
Just always wanted to be a better version of myself.
Better version of yourself.
I believe we always have something. There's always room to grow, to learn, to evolve. I can look back over the years and laugh when I recognize the growth in myself. Like, man, that's what I was like. For instance, I'm a journaler.
Okay.
I love journals. I love pens. I'm like a penaholic. If it doesn't feel right, I don't like it. But I'll look back at some of my old journals like, man, what was I going through? Like, what was
Or you start singing, look where he brought me from.
Yeah, you can see where your mindset
Sure.
was. You can see where your viewpoints had to change, even where my walk with God had to evolve and had to grow, just everything.
All
And
while
so,
learning, because you
yeah,
got some schooling behind you as well,
yeah, it's true.
and a little bit ahead of you.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I think when we look at growth from that angle, that perspective of hindsight, people say hindsight is 20/20. I think hindsight is hilarious, just hilarious. We don't even have to put any vision specs on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny that we can look back and we can laugh.
Yeah.
We can probably shed a tear or two somewhere because of our decisions and choices, but somehow our faith, coupled with our actions and work, brings us out okay. Yeah. So where do you want to start? Undergrad, or where do you want to start?
As far as what?
Your growth pattern. I mean, your growth journey.
Undergrad, when was that? Undergrad took me 10 years.
Yeah, but you've grown through it, and you're beyond that now.
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
MA now, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
got 2 masters. I have a master's in counseling, and then I have a master's in medical sciences.
Wow. You're using both sides of your brain and
Yeah.
your heart.
Yeah.
What drives you, though, with this passion? And we talked a little bit about growth, but what drives you to do that, both the science and the social science part?
I really struggled when I remember when I graduated high school. I was doing AP chemistry and I was doing a psychology class. And when I went to Western, I tested out of several semesters of chemistry. Like I tested so high, the advisor was a little nervous about it, and he was like, "Well, I don't know, what we're going to do with you in this, this, and this." I've always just loved math and science. I won a national award in mathematics, I believe, when I was in 8th grade.
Wow.
And I would be the one doing like the math meets with the school and stuff like that. I sit and do math in my head now.
So you're a mathlete.
I,
There are athletes and mathletes. You're a mathlete.
I love it. I love math and science. And so the social sciences for me was a tough transition.
Kind of a crosswalk.
Because too many things were subjective. And I'm like, I'm the
feelings. What your feelings got to do with this?
Avogadro's number is set 6.022 times
Right.
10 to the 23rd. What are you guys talking about?
Right.
And so it was just a different world. But I do love the social sciences. I love mental health and all that comes with that world. But
Well, you even wrote a book about it, right?
Kind
Talk a
of.
little bit about your book. I thought I had a copy, but I went to
Kind
look on
of.
the shelf. It's at the house. I have it
Which
at home.
book?
Well, that's right. You've written more than
You
one. I
gotta, yeah, you
forgot.
gotta tell me.
Yo, the book on mental health and spirituality. There was one particularly about parents and their children and their giftings.
Okay, so I have Raising Profits, that
That one,
one.
good book.
I have Mental Reset. That's a 15-day journal and devotional.
Okay.
I did a couple of them on mental health. I did Profits in Mental Health. I did Destroying Mental Health in the Church. I did Deliverance in Mental Health.
Deliverance and mental health. That's the one that I have. And keep going. The list goes
And then the
on.
last
John's off
and
air. John's
then,
off air just going, yup, and that one and
and
that
then the
one.
last one I did was Black Health considered from a holistic perspective. And so that one gets into where I talk about the Black Health stress model, talking about yeah, it's
Probably
very
some
involved.
disparities too. I think you hit on in one of the books. You hit on the fact that people of color have needs that aren't always met, and sometimes in the church we cover those things with just a little bit of prayer here, and a little olive oil there, and that's not how you said it, but I
That
knew
was
what you
probably
meant.
Deliverance and Mental Health. That probably sounds more like that one because the last one is dealing with more holistic health. So it was talking
Okay,
about your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your financial health, social health, just basically everything
yeah,
that can
yeah.
impact you as a person. You know, things that we don't think about, such as noise pollution
Hmm.
or toxins in your environment, different things like that.
Being
So it was,
irritated by space and sound,
yeah.
those kinds of things.
So it was a lot more involved. So that one was a challenge for me because most of my books up until then had a very strong spiritual component, although I weave it in there.
I was going to say you're an anomaly in that sense that you've got both science and spirituality,
Yeah.
come from a long line of preachers and missionaries, evangelists, and people in the church. But at the very same time, you come from accomplished biology teachers and mathematicians
Yeah.
and all of that. So it's the
That's
best of
true.
two worlds, kind of converging on helping to meet the needs of people.
Yeah.
Bottom line, you're a
Yeah.
minister helping to meet the needs of people. You inspire me in such a way that you're able to use your giftings and your callings at the same time. You're going to be doing a conference that I think the listeners need to hear about. So let's talk a little bit about that because your calling to the marketplace is really just an avenue into which you can minister and carry
Yeah.
those things, but then also your giftings open the door in the marketplace. So talk a little bit about this conference where these two converge.
So every year I do. I've been doing it for about 5 years now. We host well, when I say we, that means me and John. He got to
Yeah.
come along
Well, for
with
those
me.
who may not know John, because we've both made reference to John, he's off air, but John is your husband,
Yes,
your lifelong friend,
my best
your
friend.
best
My
friend.
best
I had
friend.
the privilege of marrying you all
Yeah,
15 years ago.
15 in November.
Wow,
Yeah,
what a blessing. Okay, so you
yeah.
guys are working on this conference.
So yeah, so been doing it for about 5 years. It's a faith and mental health hybrid summit, and so every year there is a in-person component and a virtual component. The two are not the same. So this year we have 45 virtual speakers. I have a lot of different people. Usually I have medical doctors, I believe nurse practitioners, RNs, therapists, psychologists, authors, speakers. It's a very good variety of people. It's very, very diverse. They're going to be, coming with talking about different topics ranging from anything from faith and mental health
Mhm.
all the way to neuroscience and psychiatry.
That's
And
awesome.
so I try to keep it, very diverse and so that it can meet the needs of everybody. Everybody's not coming for the same thing.
Sure. Well, 45
So,
speakers alone tells me that you've done your homework and you know that there's a vast array of needs. So you offer a vast array of menu items. And so it'll be kind of like a click on demand. How to, and also go ahead and put right up front how people can register for this.
so they
Yeah.
can register on Eventbrite. It's the Faith and Mental Health Summit, or they can go to the organization website, which is faithandmentalhealth.net. Yeah, that's probably the two easiest way. There's other avenues, but then it's a
Yeah.
bunch of letters and stuff. But
Sure.
yeah, so Eventbrite, they can just type in Faith and Mental Health Hybrid Summit, or they can go to faithandmentalhealth.net. The virtual component is 100% free. The in-person part, I believe the early bird registration is going until April 1st, I believe, and then it switches to regular pricing. So that's how people can to register. There's another option, even if people do the virtual part, they can do a paid registration where they get a conference T-shirt to go with it, and we just pop them in the mail for them and things like
Man,
that. So,
I'm just godly proud of what you're doing and what you've done. I can remember being on your television broadcast,
oh my
your
gosh, that's a long
local
time ago.
cable network television broadcast with VHS. No,
Yeah.
back in the day. Tell me a little bit about that evolution because you got a podcast too, and I thought about it while you were talking that the podcast that you have is a good place for people to get kind of caught up with the work that you're doing and be prepared for the conference. So, podcasts.
So, faith and mental health is not just the a conference. It really is evolving. It really is evolving this year,
Hmm.
particularly if I'm going to be honest. Definitely a lot more clarity about where this is going and where it's heading. And so I had actually, I have to say this, I'd given up on faith and mental health. I had
Really?
decided that I wasn't going to do it anymore. I was tired. I didn't feel like dealing with a lot of the behind the scene things that go along with dealing in mental health. I think sometimes we like to avoid the fact that anything we do, even if it doesn't seem spiritual, there's still a backlash that comes with it. Um, but so yeah, so it's not just a conference; it's also a podcast. And so the podcast has been going for years. I had put it on pause, and so we have it back going again. It airs every Monday. A new episode is available every Monday at like 6 a.m.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, so it's available everywhere. And so people can go to faithandmentalhealth.net, and then there literally is a link right on the front page. They can click on podcast, or they can just go to like Spotify or Apple or anything like that, and type it in, and it'll pop up. So yeah.
Sure. We're going to take a break in a few minutes, but before we do that, I want you to go back to when you discovered your passion for faith and mental health. I mean, it just fits so well. Because you could have majored in a lot of different things. You could have gone a lot of different routes. There's music talent in your family. There's all kinds of things that you could have done. But where did you intersect faith and mental health?
I have to say something to that. There's a lot of things I could have done, but not many that I should have done,
Okay.
because
Okay.
I was classically trained on the piano and violin. I
Exactly.
played both. But
Exactly.
I
I didn't
music
want to, put
Yeah,
all your
music
business
just
out there.
wasn't music
You know.
wasn't my thing. It's not something that I love. Like my husband loves music that flows strong in his family. But for me, it literally was from a movie. I just have to be honest. It was a
Okay.
movie that I watched.
I'm gonna get you, sucker. That one? No,
No,
I'm just
no, it
kidding. I'm
was
messing with
called
you.
I think it was The Awakening with Robin Williams,
Oh
where
yeah.
he worked in a psychiatric hospital, and he was working with people that were schizophrenic, and he
Okay.
believed that he had a medical breakthrough that would bring people out of like a catatonic state.
Mm-hmm.
And so, long story short, his miracle only worked for a while before the people start
Reversing.
reverting
Hmm.
back to where they were. But it was just a passion. It's like it sounds weird, but my dream has always been to work in a psychiatric hospital. Like
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do, and so I'm passionate about it because I believe that faith is a part of our worldview. I believe that faith allows us to pull through even the worst of situations, and I believe that where there's faith, there's hope. And
Yes.
so a lot of people that are dealing with mental health challenges need hope, because a lot of times their family may write them off, society may write them off. And so people need some hope, and to know that it's okay to let God be a part of whatever it is you're going through.
Yeah, I think you're singing my song right now as it relates to hope because that's part of my whole personal mission as well as the mission of the organizations that I'm involved with is that there has to be that banner of hope first and foremost because when people can see hope, they can begin to reach
Yeah.
for hope and sustain their faith or their belief in turnaround or possibility for change.
Yeah.
Change. Let's talk about change. Notice how these segues just kind of
Uh
move you
huh.
into it. And I'm just setting you up because we're going to do a break first.
Okay.
But when we come back from the break, what I'd like to do is talk about your STEM work that you're doing with youth at this organization called Change and Beyond.
Steps to victory.
Steps to Victory. There we go.
Yes.
There we go. I'm getting my organizations mixed up
Yes.
because you've piloted and worked in so many of them,
Yeah.
but it still centers around growth and
Yeah.
change. And so, get your thoughts together. Get
I
ready.
got
When
them.
we come back from the break, D'Andrea Bolden is going to talk a little bit more about her life and the growth pattern that she's currently on, the trajectory that she has to advance this growth process. Thanks for being here. We'll be right back. This episode is sponsored by Speak Media Services, where we believe everyone deserves the opportunity to capture and preserve their unique stories. You're not just another number in the crowd. Your individuality matters. Our intimate photography and videography services are tailored to your vision and budget, ensuring your essence shines through. Allow us to help preserve the moments that mean the most. With our support, you'll create cherished keepsakes to treasure for years to come. Speak Media Services, your story, your way. Hey, welcome back. We are in a deep conversation, a great opportunity for me, as well as you as a listening audience participant, to understand a little bit more about faith and mental health. D'Andrea Bolden is here, and the Growth Exchange is all about growth, but it's also all about change, growth and change together. In fact, we're exchanging information, data, but inspirations. You voiced your passion for faith and mental health, and I wanted to know where it started for you, and take us a little bit on that journey.
It's just as far as faith and mental health, it's just something I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to really pinpoint where things started because I'm one of those people. I remember telling my husband, I've never had a dream.
Hmm.
Like, you know how people like have these childhood dreams. I want to be a lawyer. What I never had that. I never had any childhood
You never said, when I
aspirations.
grow up, I want to be.
No, I
No.
never knew what I wanted to be. I couldn't look back and say, "Oh, as a kid, I always said this." That just wasn't me.
So, how did you get to the point of accomplishing so much?
I don't know. I feel like some of it was by accident. It's like prayerful accidents. Sometimes I just feel like the Lord kidnaps me, and it's like, oh, okay, well, here we are now.
Yeah,
It's a lot of things that I've done and that I do are never really intentional. It's just between prayer and researching, and ideas will come and things will come to my mind, but I can't sit here and say that everything I've done has been intentional because it hasn't
sure.
been.
Two words surface. One is providence, the providence of God, and then the other one is God's sovereignty. But you have to yield to sovereignty in order for providence to take place. And watching you grow over the years and seeing your life's developments and accomplishments, you're a very good candidate to be an example. And other young people who may not have had a dream or may
Yeah,
even have dreams and be confused because they didn't have role models
yeah,
can look to you. You're doing summer work, or you have done summer work over the years. There's
yeah,
a
yeah.
camp, a STEM camp, right?
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
I am a lover of math and science. Like, if it was up to me, I would sprinkle the world with chemistry sets, and we'd be sitting back doing math sets, and we would be sitting
Give
back
everybody
doing
a
physics
microscope. You get a
kits.
microscope. You get a
Yeah, it
microscope, and
just
you get a microscope.
that is the one thing I can say I've always loved. I remember when I was a kid, I would be in my mom's kitchen and I would mix her seasonings together because I wanted it to go poof.
The chemical
I
reaction.
didn't know what it was. I just knew I wanted it to
Well,
go poof.
baking soda, cayenne pepper, and no, keep going.
Yeah, definitely some household things that we can.
Yeah,
But for me, the summer camps it's all about introducing children to STEM, introducing them to the possibilities. I definitely believe we have to be intentional. That as the world is changing and the economy is changing and the demands are changing, that we put our children in a position to have access to seeing what some of the more demanding jobs look like.
sure.
I think it so with the STEM Academy, we promote a lot of stuff. We interweave tech and everything. So the
I was going to
kids,
say there's some robotics on the
yep,
horizon.
robotics and
Yeah,
coding and what do they do? I mean, it's so much stuff that we've done electricity and circuits workshops, and so
really.
I brung in my nephew. He's an electrical engineer. Had him do that, and so we do a lot of stuff with STEM, and so we do it every year, and so it has been a blessing to a lot of people and to a lot of the kids. It is. I'm very particular. Like he knows I'll be up like 2, 3 in the morning working on the curriculum, getting the schedules going because we usually have a waiting list every year. And so I have so many kids and I have to keep them moving. And then we have to assess the different groups they're in because some will be functioning academically higher than others.
So you want to put them in the right group,
Yeah, so
learning group.
we put them in the right group, and I always do colors
Nice.
because so
So
they'll
you have the
never
red
know.
team, the blue
Yep.
team, yeah,
Because if you say team one, team two, or team
it's
A, team
priority.
B,
Yeah,
they look at the sequence instead of when it's colors, they never know what it means. And
absolutely. That's a
so
smart move. Now this is housed at.
we run the program in the nonprofit out of the church. So the
Mhm.
Church of Seasons of Change out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. And so the camps range usually from a couple weeks, sometimes to like 6 weeks. It just depends. It depends on what the program is. It depends on how much staff we had. So like last year, I had the highest staff count. I think I had a staff of 11.
That was good.
And so we
So you're
try to.
providing some employment for some people as well as
I
opportunities
paid my
for the
teachers
summer.
very, very well to get these people to give up their summer break and to
Sure.
come. Please know they're being paid well. I have catered food.
Now, are you running the camp this coming summer as well?
Yeah, we're in the process of getting that together now. Getting ready to get the flyer out. We've been going back and forth with some of the people and some of the things that are involved, and so we're hoping we'll be able to get that kicked off probably in the month of July is what it's looking like.
So let me make sure I'm
Um,
getting my calendar right because you've got the virtual and in-person conference.
That's May. That's May 23rd. Oh, I
Hmm.
didn't tell you guys. Hey guys. So
Yeah,
the
that's right. We just
so the
talking.
so the Faith and Mental Health Summit is taking place Friday, May 23rd, live in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Join me at Seasons of Change Church. So in times past we've had it other places, but this year we decided to do it at the church.
It's a good
So
location.
yep, so 1323 Lane Boulevard.
Yeah, I know the founders and the current pastor. It's
Listen,
an
you
excellent
gotta.
ministry.
And then that Saturday is virtual. The Saturday is virtual, and so you sit in your
On a laptop
PJs.
near you,
Yeah,
right?
sit
Yeah.
on your PJs, and you can go to the speakers that you want to hear. So if there's somebody you like, you don't have to. You pick pick and choose what you want. And so yeah, so that's Friday, May 23rd in Kalamazoo, and Saturday, May 24th virtually. So
Terrific.
yeah.
So that's the conference, and then the summer camp.
Summer camps is through Steps to Victory. So
Hmm.
summer camps, our summer camps, I think they always start either the last week of June or right after. I usually try to do it right after the 4th of July so we don't have to have a break. And then we usually end the end of July, or sometimes we spill over, like last year, we spill over into August. So it
And
just
can they
kind
go
of
to
depends.
the Faith and Mental Health site in order to get information on that, or is
No.
it where
So
was that?
for
Yeah,
the summer camp, that's going to be on Steps to Victory website, and so that's
got it.
stepstovictory.org, stepstovictory.org, and our camps are always free. We've done everything from Lego STEAM camps to Python coding camps to last year we did a health science camp, and so I brung out Skelly the skeleton, and they had to learn about anatomy and stuff like that.
Ortho stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we do regular science camps where we just kind of do a variety of stuff, and so it always just depends on we sit down and we make decisions and figure out what do we want to focus on this year as far as our camps, and then we put it out there.
How can people support you? And I know, of course, it's always good to have people in your camp and in your corner. You got John. You got a big family. Um, I'm going to have John on the air. That's why I keep mentioning his name. People are like, who is this John guy?
Yes,
Who
he
is
has
this
to be
John?
seen. Like,
Well, he's an author as well, a
yeah,
speaker, presenter, and youth development is what he
yeah,
does. So
that's
that'll
his
be,
thing.
yeah, youth development. I got some good friends. I like the people that I hang out with. But how can people support you? In what ways, would you welcome some support from the faith and mental health piece, even to the youth program? So.
So for the youth programs, if people want to help, there's always volunteer opportunities with Steps to Victory. We're always looking for professionals to connect with that can come and engage with the youth, depending on again what we're dealing with and what our topics and what we're training them in. If people can financially support by giving a donation. We accept in-kind donations. We have people that have donated laptops. We have people that will donate items that the kids may need, because even besides what we do with the camp, we recognize that when we hold these camps, we're feeding people.
Hmm.
We've had where some days, every day after camp, people would know to meet me to come get food for their families because they had nothing.
Sure.
Um,
So while the camp is free, somebody's paying for it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we've been blessed to be able to get funding that covers our camp so that we can pay our staff and everything like that. and keep it rolling. But yeah, so definitely, financial donations, in kind donations. We're always looking for, things that will be beneficial for these children and their families. As far as faith and mental health, partner with us. Listen, we need, we're accepting vendors. Somebody want to come on vend. You got a
Mm-hmm.
juice company, come on and pour some juice. Come on, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
If it's in that wellness type space, come on down. And then, we're looking for sponsors. Sponsorship starts. We're so modest. And so, yes, it's very, very economic and affordable. So just reach out to us.
I forgot to add actress to your resume.
Do you know I was on Hulu?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went down to Atlanta and my sister, I was supposed to
Comedy
go,
club?
huh?
Was it a comedy stand up? What did
No,
you do?
I was down in Atlanta, and my sister was like, I was supposed to go meet with a friend of mine. Um, and my sister was like, "Well, do you want to be on TV or do you want to go?" And I was like,
What kind
"Let's
of question is
let's
that?
how about TV?" And so I went, and next thing I know, I'm in there. They're putting makeup on me, putting clothes on me. They're feeding us,
So was
driving
this
us
a
around.
documentary, a movie? What were
No,
you?
it was a TV show. It was a Hulu TV show series, and you want to know the crazy thing is they wanted me to come back, and John begged me to stay, and I was like, "No, I gotta get home." He was like, "You should have stayed."
Listen, John's a smart man.
And
Listen to
listen,
him.
they don't for the little bit of work I did. I mean, I was like, that was more than going to a job for
Now, is
most
this
people.
archived? I want to go back and see this.
You see like a glimpse of my face, and then you see me walking with my a child that was acting with me, and this little girl was.
Did you tell me you had kids of your own you could have brought if you had known?
No, yeah, you know what? They weren't even with me, but it was a very different
So
opportunity.
you were an
And
extra.
listen, I'm trying to get. Listen, I'm about that extra life. I
I,
like
I
it.
was
It
gonna
was
say
fun.
extra, no pun intended, but you can
Yeah.
do that well.
I told him my goal is to get my IMDb credit. Like I have to. I don't care what it is. Okay, I do care what it is,
Right.
Lord.
You
You hear
definitely
me?
want it to be reputable.
But right. But I'm saying like I want my IMDb credit. I don't want to. I don't.
D'Andrea, you never cease to amaze me. I'm sure your husband, your children, your parents, the communities you serve are all very proud of you, but you make us nervous at times,
What?
because we don't know what might be next.
You know what?
We don't know.
In my favorite thing, one of my favorite things in the whole wide world is Willy Wonka.
I can imagine. I
And
would imagine.
in my like even when I do like the STEM camps and the stuff with STEM, like I want it to be like Willy Wonka meets the Jetsons. Like in my mind, everything.
Those are two completely different eras, but I get it. Yeah.
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 And so it's the creativity. It's
Yes.
like for me, I'm a creative. I'm always
Sure.
dreaming, and I'm big on, God blesses us to live life one time. And I said when I leave this world, I want people to know I lived.
Absolutely. And it
So
wasn't nothing left. You didn't leave. You put it all on the
listen,
floor. You put it.
seriously, I'm not leaving a crumb.
I don't blame you. I
Yeah.
think that's where we connect, and I'm very, like I said, I can't say it enough about the being proud. But you inspire me, even with this podcast, of me stepping outside of my traditional role in the community, and people know me
Yeah.
as, and then also exercising some of the academic achievement, which you're inspiration for some of that as well, because I know academics is high on your list. That's a thing. While laughing, having fun, creating things, you
Yeah.
even as an entrepreneur sold hair.
I did. You know what? That is my biggest regret was that.
Folks are going to be Googling you.
No,
They're going to be looking you up when they
my
listen to
biggest
this.
regret was stopping selling hair. And the reason I stopped, and I hope this encourages somebody, is because I got afraid.
Yeah.
I
And how
got to the
big it
point
was.
because like
I remember.
I had my layaway set up.
Yeah.
So even if
She
I
was like
wasn't
Mrs. Bundles.
listen, so even if I wasn't making sales, I was making money because people were paying their layaway plans.
Yes.
I had people buying hair from me in the UK. And so eventually when I end up letting it go, I sold it to I sold everything to a young lady in another state, but I was just young at the time, and if I could do things differently, I would have
Sure.
held on to it
Sure.
longer, and I would have rolled it out. It's just I literally I can admit I got afraid. That was the only reason I shut it down. I got scared.
Well, you're definitely blessed beyond compare. That Proverbs 31 woman, You're 2.0. Proverbs 31 2.0, in that sense. And I know, like I said, your husband, your family is very, very proud. We've got a few minutes left, and I want you to take that time to share whatever you like to the listening audience, viewing audience. Just inspire. Talk about whatever God places on your heart to close this episode out.
Uh, I guess I
And
was.
leave some for John, okay? Because John's got to come.
Hey, Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I'll just say thank you again for allowing me to be a part of this.
Thank you.
I'm big on I never take opportunities for granted because no one owes you anything in life.
Yeah.
As far as like what I would say to people, I just encourage people to keep growing and keep changing,
Mm-hmm.
keep evolving. I know it sounds cliche, but when I say don't give up, don't give up. Life is very uncertain sometimes. We go through so many ups and downs and ins and outs and ons and offs, and
Yeah.
and it really is a journey. And so I just believe that journey is more palatable and easier to handle when we allow God to be the driver of that journey and to really lead and guide us. And so just encouraging people to be your authentic self. That's the one thing I don't try to be anyone else. I don't try to be like anyone else. I'm gonna laugh and have a good time everywhere
Mm-hmm.
I go.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just keep pushing and keep dreaming.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. D'Andrea Bolden speaking live from life's experiences. I appreciate the time that you took to be here today. I'm looking
Thank you.
forward to the conference being a success. We are connected on some other projects and things that will unfold as the days progress. But you've been tuned into another edition of the Growth Exchange with Dr. Terrence Lachey. Thanks for being here. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Growth Exchange. I'm Dr. Terrence Lachey. It's been a pleasure to have these conversations and dialogues with our guests. If you notice, one thing we all share in common, and that is the ability, the desire, and the potential to grow and maximize our fullest potential. So keep tuning in. Share this with somebody, like it, maybe even invite somebody. And if you'd like to be a guest, contact us with the information that's here and available for you. Let's grow.